Hello! Alright, so today we are reviewing a case. They all come in different tastes and... Ooh, that was a lot of energy. Let's slow it down a little bit. Anywho, lots of different companies give us different tastes, different color and different sizes in our chassis, and that's great. But only one brand can truly pretend to make them silent. And that seems like a small thing, but that's a big pretension. Especially in our days when we are water cooling stuff, where you're finding yourself with easily 8 or 11 high pressure fans in one system. And believe you me, it can be loud. So when BeQuiet came up with a series of cases, which would be not only silent, but good looking and feature tempered glass all at once, I had to hear this for myself. And so today I am reviewing the Dark Base 900 Pro from BeQuiet. The Dark Base Pro 900 comes in two different distinct models, either in a tempered glass edition or in a metallic edition. And in our case we are going to review the tempered one. And that is where the challenge lies. It's not that difficult to have a noise suppressed case when all the panels of your case are metallic and therefore easy to play with and stick foam to it. But when you start messing with the process and decide to put a massive tempered glass panel instead, things might not go as well as planned. Did BeQuiet pull it off? Well, without any further ado, roll that intro. Let's start with the obvious. The case is 585mm tall, 243mm wide and 577mm deep. Empty, it weighs a whopping 14.39 kg. Seriously, that is a heavy case. It is a full tower and therefore should be able to accommodate Mini ITX, MATX, ATX, XL-ATX and E-ATX, though I have spotted limitation on that very last one. Oh, wow! Alright, where was I? The front panel and the top of our case is dressed by a gorgeous one-piece brushed aluminum sheet showcasing laser-cut vent opening on its back and a curved front espousing the chassis curvature. Espousing. I'm talking fancy English these days. And it also perfectly embeds all of our front panel elements. Talking of which, we have our power LED button, our reset button, two third generation USB plugs, two second generation USB plugs, our audio plugs, and that's a first for me. We have a QI charger or Qi charger, I don't know how you want to call this. And that is a wireless charger for your phone. And you know, I really love the idea. I cannot count how many times I just, when I'm working, putting my phone on the top of my case, as you must as well. I know it sounds a little bit geeky, but, let's see. My only critique so far is that even though the brushed aluminum looks amazing, it is a trap for fingerprints and finger oil. So either you never touch it or you're gonna have to wear gloves to keep it clean. Alright, let's move on. We have a pressure opening front panel starting from the top. An LED controller switch, which will control the two solid LED strips provided with your case, and right underneath it, a fan speed controller. And here, another small critique. I do feel that compared to the premium feel of our build, those two elements are on the cheap side. We have two 5.25-inch bays for our optical drives or other compatible components, two gigantic 140mm BeQuiet fans, our front fan filter, and all the way down the latch for our case base fan filter. Both were good quality and most specifically easy to put on and off. No pressure points where you really have to struggle like on some other cases to put them on or remove them. So kudos to BeQuiet for that. Alright, so let's take a closer look to the front panel door. Its inside facing wall is covered by a noise tempering padding, which is featured on all of the chassis walls except the tempered glass, obviously. Now here's something we don't always see on old cases. Our case is surrounded by a continuous venting channel which is here to break the airflow speed and therefore reduce its sound footprint, but it also provides a greater dispersion surface for better evacuation even if the hot air is slowed down. And that brings us to the cooling discussion of that case. Our Dark Base Pro 900 can accommodate up to a 360 to 420 mm rad on the top and front position, a 120 to 140 mm on the back of our case, and a 120 to 280 mm rad on the case floor. Yeah, like you're close to 1.5 meters of radiators right in there. You could have a Chernobyl style meltdown right at your feet and still wear socks. No idea what that meant. None. Our left side panel is what all the fuss is about, a gigantic 479mm by 525mm dark and tempered glass. The right side panel is a more classic metallic sheet. It does feature a removable plastic cover which would hide optional two 120mm fans and their air filter. Of course, the inward-facing wall of our panel has been padded with a noise-tempering foam as well. Cable management-wise, we have what we need to handle even difficult and complex cable situations. Again, not the best I've ever seen, but I think it is advanced enough for what we're paying, and again, it should be able to get us where we want to be. So that brings us to the exposed fan LED hub controller. We can add up to 8 fans on this thing, 4 3-pin fans and 4 4-pin fans, and in addition, this is where we will be plugging in our 2 LED strips as well. The back of our case is interesting as well. For one, there is no external visibility on our PSU, and that is because our PSU will be completely hidden and swallowed by our case right here. But more about that later. We also have 8 back shields to accommodate as many components and extension we would like to add on our build, and a 140mm BeQuiet fan. Storage wise, we have 7 3.5-inch hard disk drives column. Worth noting, you can also decide to put 2 solid state drive per bay instead of 1 mechanical hard drive, so potentially 14 of them right here. And on the other side of our case, we have 1 sliding 2.5-inch solid state drive bay. And that's maybe problematic, because if you're gonna go for removing the old hard disk tray column and want to have a couple of solid state drive, well, you can't. You're gonna have only place for 1, and it's kind of awkwardly placed anyways. So yeah, maybe this could be rethought for the next version of the Dark Base Pro, just saying. And talking about removing stuff, here is my favorite part of this case review. It's modular. Not just modular, it's crazy modular. You can remove everything you see. Trays, motherboard can be removed, and everything everywhere. And that is very impressive, because, you know, when you go for something that's gonna be silent, you try to limit the amount of moving and mechanical part. But BeQuiet went exactly the opposite. They made the most flexible build and the most challenging design that they could go with, and still deliver on their promises. So that's pretty cool. Even the power supply unit has its own mounting rail to adjust its location. You also have a dedicated cable and the on-off button, which completely segregate the PSU from the exterior of our case. Now, I have a couple of reserves. First, a lot of manufacturers keep saying that they can support eATX motherboard, and they certainly do, because there are different sizes for eATX. But coming from a full tower, I was really hoping and expecting to be able to throw whatever I had on it, and it would, you know, fit whatever model of motherboard, no matter how extreme they could be. And yet, I tried to fit in the Zenith Extreme motherboard, which is truly eATX motherboard, and it does fit, but it will cover all the cable traps. So yeah, I'm gonna end up having to remove the old hard disk tray column and get our cables to go in an awkward angle to be able to connect. And talking about the hard disk tray column, what's up with the thumb screws? How many do you need? I mean, frankly talking, we're not in 1963. We're not going to the moon on a toaster. You do need to have lines of 3 thumb screws for every single hard disk tray. It does look cool, I'm not gonna say no, but cable management wise, it's a nightmare. So, you know, for next design, if you're gonna go full modular as you did here, you know, clip-ons, clip-out, it does exist. In conclusion, let me start with the price. This full tower, the Dark Base Pro 900 from BeQuiet, will cost you around 250 bucks. And that's pretty low for a good quality premium made full tower case. I'm not saying it's a bargain, but it's affordable. It definitely is affordable. But, and that's a major but, this is not for first time builders, or I wouldn't want a first time builder to jump on this case. This is a more advanced, more frustrating case to build with. You have to invest a lot of time in there, but it is also very rewarding because it does look amazing. I adore the design. I really love it. I really think it's simple yet elegant. I like the precision, the build precision was put in there. The fact that the opening vents on the back of our case are laser cut. I like the fact that brushed aluminum sheet actually spouse the front end of our chassis. It's not a different piece, it actually curbs with the case, and all our IO front panel components are embedded in there. So I really like that. And let's not forget the best feature of this case. It is practically completely silent, and that is something that will change my life, because if every time I put this thing on, it's as if a turboprop was landing on my property. I mean, this one is a little bit better, but still a lot of noise. Simple in design, remorseful in its finish, and pompously good in its execution. And even though I am going to have some challenges with fitting my motherboard in this particular case, I have decided to feature the Dark Base Pro 900 on my very next Threadripper build. I know I had promised to listen to what you had suggested, and most of you did suggest that we would go with the Cooler Master C700P, and I did try to reach Cooler Master here, but they just didn't have any availability. But I really feel that the Dark Base Pro 900 will do just as good, if not better.